On today's Max Magazine, we're visiting cool schools. First, we'll head to a place where students make instruments that produce beautiful music. Next, we'll visit a school where students and horses work together to help others. Then, we'll hang out at a bartending school where students learn to sling drinks with flair. Hello and welcome to another edition of Max Magazine. I'm your host, Brad Grass, and today, we're talking about cool schools. Oh yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun learning a lot of different things, which is why we're starting today's show right here at the Regina Flying School with this gentleman, Mike Meehan. Mike, thanks a lot for letting us be here today.
Oh, you're very welcome, Brad. Thank you for coming by.
Now, Mike is an instructor here at the Regina Flying School, and you've been an instructor for how long, Mike?
I've been instructing since 2001.
But how long have you been flying?
I actually started my flight training here in Regina in 1997.
So 15 years.
About that, yes.
You've been up in the beautiful blue prairie skies. Now, this is the Regina Flying Club, but how many flying clubs, how many flying schools are there in Regina?
In Regina, there's just us, but also there is a flying school in Carlisle, there's one in Yorkton, and I believe there are 3 in Saskatoon as well.
Okay, so if you're so inclined, if this is your thing, you want to learn how to fly, there's 5 or 6 different schools to choose from in Saskatchewan.
That's correct.
Now, can anybody learn to fly?
Basically, you can. To get a private pilot's license issued, you have to be 17 years of age, but you can start your flight training prior to that and get your license issued on your 17th birthday once you've met all the requirements. And then to get a commercial license issued, you have to be 18 years old. Okay,
so you get your driver's license first, kids, and then a year later, okay, if mom and dad say it's okay, you can think about starting to study to become a pilot. Now, there's several things that you got to do to become a pilot, and we're going to cover that with Mike in just a minute, and we're also going to do something really important called a pre-flight check. But before we do that, we're going to fly you to Tagaski, Saskatchewan, to meet a gentleman who is well-versed teaching the ancient art of making stringed instruments.
I'm the principal owner of Timeless Instruments. It's a luthiery business and training school for luthiers. People come in from around the world and learn how to build guitars here. I build guitars myself for customers and have a large mail order supply for people that are building guitars and other musical instruments. Okay, a luthier is a person who builds musical instruments, mainly stringed fretted instruments. I started playing guitar when I was a teenager. Before that, I'd played piano and kind of evolved into making instruments because I was intrigued about what made them work the way they work. Then discovered a luthiery school, and one in Seattle and one in Vermont. I ended up going to the one in Vermont. Came back from that and started my business 5 days later and have been working at Timeless Instruments since 1980. In the core program, students come and spend 7 weeks to build an acoustic guitar. So that could be a steel string guitar or a classical guitar. They might build a flamenco guitar, they might build a bass or a baritone or tenor guitar. In the core program, they're learning the skills of woodworking, they're learning the balance of acoustics versus structure so that the strings don't pull it apart, but they make it vibrate to its optimal ability.
I'm living in Regina, and I'm a part-time folk hard rock musician, and I've had some experience in woodworking and decided that I needed a bit of a career change, so I thought I'd come to the school that David's running and see what I could do. I'm hoping one day to be able to do this full-time, building. Well, we're just learning how to carve the neck, the heel of the neck. We just did this week, so.
Well, growing up with the shop attached to the house, I've just kind of been incorporating it my whole life, basically. And this year I just started on basically a year ago, and I've been working with Dad and learning construction, repair, and a lot about wood supply and selection too. We get a lot of people from all over, we get all types. Hobby builders, people that want to go into it as a career. We've had people worldwide come around, and it's been really interesting. You get a lot of really neat people, you meet some great characters. I have a lot of childhood memories of students, joining us for Christmas and Thanksgiving. That part was always really interesting and fascinating to me, just meeting people from many different cultures from all over the world and experiencing, you get to experience a little bit of the whole world right here in Tegaski. I really like working with wood. The more I do it, the more I enjoy it. There's a lot to learn, and you can spend your whole life sort of digging into it and never get everything. As well as the community of luthiers in Canada and worldwide is a really good group to be part of, and I really enjoy that as well.
It's a cool school because as serious as we might be day to day, it's pretty flexible and pretty relaxed, the atmosphere. I try to accommodate things students want to do and still follow the curriculum and keep on schedule. And it's cool because people are learning hand-eye coordination and doing things they've never thought they could do.
I think the freedom of the design that we offer is really unique. As well, the quality of instruction that you get. People walk out after just 7 weeks with a whole bunch of new skills, a bunch of knowledge, and you see guys going on to successful careers, and the quality work that comes out of here is just really impressive. It's really neat to watch.
So this is the plane, Mike. Mike, this is the plane that we're going to go up in the air with.
That's correct,
Now,
yes.
before we do, though, like we were saying earlier, we have to do something called a pre-flight check. This is something you do every time before you take to the skies. Now, what is a pre-flight check, Mike, and why?
Basically, we do a pre-flight inspection prior to each flight to make sure that the aircraft has sufficient fuel and oil for the flight that we're going to be doing, and also to ensure that there are no issues or difficulties with the aircraft that would prevent the flight.
Now, that's kind of important. We're going up 5, 6, 10,000 feet, right? So you got a step ladder. What's the first thing you're checking here?
Basically, what I want to do is just climb up and dip the fuel tank to see how much fuel we actually have in the aircraft.
That's important.
Yes.
We already know now that anybody can become a pilot or apply to become a pilot. Is it as easy as getting your driver's license, or is it a bit more difficult than that?
It's a little more complicated than that. There's a written exam that you have to do as well as a flight test, and in addition to that, you need to get an aviation medical. And then with that, you can proceed to do your first solo. And after you've done your first solo, then your instructor will do some additional exercises with you and then send you solo to work on those exercises.
Now, I do know there's classroom study as well as learning with an instructor like yourself up in the air. So, but how is that split up? How much time are you in the ground? How much time are you in the air?
Basically what happens is prior to each flight, there'll be a little bit of time spent on the ground with the instructor. And in addition to that, the ground school covers 4 major areas: regulations, theory of flight, meteorology, and navigation.
Okay, so I've passed my physical, right?
Okay.
I'm taking the studies, I'm in the classroom, I'm in the air. How long is it going to take the average guy like me to become a pilot?
Basically, it depends upon your availability and how often you wish to fly. So for people who are not that available, there's probably going to be a little more review work that has to take place during each of the flights, and so it may actually take you longer and cost you a little bit more to do your license. We do have some students that want to complete their license within a short period of time so they can move on to higher licenses and ratings. And so they may fly 5 days a week, twice a day, and they might be able to finish their license within 2.5 or 3 months, depending upon the weather.
Right. And that changes every 5 minutes here in beautiful Saskatchewan. So this is the plane, and soon we'll be taking you up in the skies. But before we do that, we're going to fly you over to a school north of Prince Albert, where we're going to meet some horse lovers, and they learn how to use their equine friends to teach other people how to communicate, open up, use life skills, life lessons, and all kinds of wonderful things. Take a look.
you think those horses trusted you the very first day you came? No, no, definitely not. Did you trust the horses the first day you came? No, you didn't. That's right. So you were building trust, and now over the days, how are you feeling now about the horses? A little bit better, a little more confident, right? We started the program about 9 years ago because there was such a demand for not only youth at-risk programs, but for alternative learning programs. And then the teaching part of it came with the adult program about 2 years after we started the youth program, because people were wondering so much what we were doing. Take 2 steps forward, Janice. Oh my goodness. Oh, no, no. Whoa. Okay, okay. Sorry. So, she stepped right on. She's sorry. Okay, so what was wrong with my communication there?
That wasn't that good.
It's not that good. I think it's a cool school, and I think my partners think it's a cool school because it is innovative. It's something that we couldn't find when we started equine assisted learning. We couldn't find a course that would teach us how to do this. We wanted to do it so badly, so we thought, you know what, we're going to actually develop our own program, and we're going to make it just the way we want it, and it's going to be based in learning objectives and outcomes, and so the curriculum is very easy to follow, and I think it makes it unique because anyone can do it. Okay, and you're going to find the long rope. Find the long rope.
Found it.
There you go, and hold that. Put it in your hand the way it should be so it's not looped around your hand or nothing. Just coil it up. Pretend you're leading SpongeBob. Equine assisted learning and equine guided programs are used with adults as well as young children. It actually goes the scope of the sky is the limit as to how you can use it, but it's used with horses, and facilitators guide the journey through to an objective, right to an outcome in each exercise. So there is a very strict curriculum that you follow. Our school has 2 programs that run here. The first one is the youth program that teaches youth at risk and alternative learning children to hands-on learn life skills through horses. The second program that we have that runs is an adult program that actually teaches adults to do equine-assisted guided programs and learn to facilitate them and take them home and start careers in equine facilitation.
I decided to become a facilitator because I found this program so interesting, how they use horses and the way they work with children. It just really appealed to me. I am also a research assistant for a research project that is happening with the University of Regina, Saskatchewan, and Calgary, and it's in the final stages. It is researching the effects that equine-assisted learning has on youth.
This is Frosty. He's one of our most experienced teachers here, and he is 22 years old this year, and he used to be a jumping horse actually in his career, and he's now retired, and he was donated to our program. This is Doc. We call him No Boundaries Doc because he does have some boundary issues. He is 10 years old this year, so he's one of our younger horses actually, and he's a very good teacher of boundary issues with the children as well as respect and trust. This is Misty, and she is about 18 years old this year, and she was a trail riding horse in her career, and she was donated to our program as well, and she is a very, very nice teacher here. This is Charlie. He is 20 years old this year. He was a 4-H horse used extensively by children, and he is now retired. So Charlie is an excellent teacher of trust, and the kids really like him because he's very cute and likes to be cuddled and brushed and snuggled with, so he's a great teacher.
Some of the unique things that you learn here is how to read a horse's body language, how to facilitate, because as a facilitator, you're not teaching these children, you're learning to help guide them on their journey using the horse as the teacher. So that's something that you're not going to learn anywhere else.
It comes a lot easier from a horse. Instead of me saying, oh, you have a bad attitude, the horses are actually saying, you know, your attitude needs to be checked out there. And the children will take it, adults will take it from a horse and kind of do some self-reflection on that. These horses are comfortable because of you. If they are uncomfortable, it's because of something that's happening. Do you think the horses knew you were blindfolded? You think so? Yeah, because you'll see there's a little change. If they think you're blindfolded, they'll either get more cautious or sometimes more upset. It depends on what's happening in the team. I think one of the best things about equine-assisted learning is that the environment is one of positive reinforcement.
We try and go above and beyond. You know, whenever we can help out and make a difference in these children's lives, we try and do so.
A little boy came into the program. His class had already been here a couple of times, and he came in with the class and he sat down at the back and he never looked up when I was talking during the briefing. Very quiet, and he went out into the arena and he chose Simba as his horse that he was going to have, and Simba was an older horse that we had at the time. And I sent Dominique with this little boy because I didn't really know what was going to happen, and she chatted with him throughout the day and they did the exercise. And when he came to the back, I remember seeing him come to the back and he kind of sat a little taller. And I kind of kneeled down in front of him and I said, "So how was your first day here?" And he looked right at me with these beautiful brown eyes and he said to me, "I have never been this happy for this long in my whole life."
Just sitting in this cockpit, Mike, this is so cool. I have a question for you though. We talked about physicals that you'd need to pass if you want to become a pilot. Is there anything physically that would deter me from becoming a pilot?
So if you have conditions like high blood pressure, or if you're prone to headaches, things like that would prevent you from getting a medical that's required for aviation. The other thing is other conditions like, for example, if you have ADHD and are on certain medications, again, those medications would prevent you from getting your private pilot's license.
Now, we're about to take flight right now. What would you say is the most challenging thing about being a pilot?
Usually for students, the most challenging exercise is learning how to land the plane. And the reason is, in a very short period of time, you've got to react to a lot of different things, make judgments, and hold the aircraft accordingly.
I'm so glad I'm with Mike today, because this is a guy who's been doing this for a while. He knows his stuff, because today we have some crosswinds.
We do, yes.
I'm glad I'm with you. I noticed we don't have any flight attendants.
No, unfortunately we don't.
No, not on this one to service any cocktails. But I'll tell you what, if slinging drinks is your kind of thing, if you like your martinis shaken and not stirred, then bartending school is for you.
So it's run by two guys, Todd and Troy, and they have 9 locations around Canada, and I think they're opening in 10th right now. They have a textbook you go through every kind of alcohol, so your gin, your tequila, your vodka, all the things you'd imagine, beer and wine, and then you learn like mixology. So that's the one thing that people just like, they'll just throw stuff in, trying to get it to taste good, and this will just kind of give you an idea how to do that. Kind of gives you like a base to kind of be creative. So that's what I like about this kind of job. Everything in it is like really creative. Even people who make the alcohol are like super creative, having to blend different alcohols together, different ages, different tastes. So I guess it's kind of like palate training at the same time. Even though this is all water and it's colored with food coloring, but I like to take the class out sometimes and you know, explore and experience and stuff like that. So this school has a couple different classes. They have a flair bartending course. So they'll be teaching like how to flip bottles and like do stalls and, you know, make it look fancy and fun, which is what I like to do. And then there's learning all the recipes part of it. And then there's the martini class. So that's just a 1-day, 2-hour course learning how to make martinis. When I teach it here, I still like to teach a little flair and stuff and fun stuff to, you know, entertain like a house party at least. And then there's the 2-week full bartending course.
I had no idea what to expect when I first got here. I didn't even expect a bar to be here. But it was really good to know that we could actually go behind there, get used to it, and play with all those different colored drinks and do whatever we want with them. The thing is, you don't really know the flavor, and that's kind of what we have to practice on our own, is to, you know, when we do go home, we can make our own drinks and actually try them flavor-wise. But with the colors, it's definitely a big part when making a drink, is to make it look appetizing. Basically, all the drinks we make, we know which glass what we need to use, so we'll take the glass off the back bar, get our ice out, might even do some tricks with the ice. And then we start building with our alcohol first and then adding our mix in later. Everything in front of the customer as well too, so they can see what's going on. It's entertainment. You want to make sure they see what you're making and make sure they're, you know, intrigued by what you're doing.
If you can do this course and just make drinks, that's not really good enough to pass. You need to be able to make eye contact, have a smile, wipe off, you know, a bad night. If someone's treating you bad, you can smile for the next customer and not let, you know, no tip affect how you don't, you know, your service, right? Your job is to serve, and so entertain at the same time. I mean, if they're having fun, they're gonna tip anyway because they just like you. And like, that's what I'm trying to teach you, is just to be like aware of your surroundings. So you're not serving after hours and getting a ticket and getting fired and your bar gets a fine or that kind of thing. And you're knowing when to cut people off and how to deal with a situation where someone's like, hey, give me my drink now, or getting aggressive, or any scenario, how to say no and be polite and still keep a client or, you know, someone coming back to you.
My favorite thing to do is actually the bar flair. So that's when we get behind the bar and we're pouring drinks and we're tossing bottles around and, you know, doing different tricks and stuff to entertain the customers.
I teach the flair for anyone who wants it, but it's always separates into boys and girls. The boys will do all the flair and throw the bottles and all that stuff, and they'll just trash it and just have the funnest time. And the girls are just looking over their shoulder like, don't hit me. And they're over here memorizing their drinks. And so the girls are really into, how do I make something really delicious and know all the shooters, and they want to know it all. And then the boys are just like, I want to show it all. And they don't care if they remember it. And so that's where it kind of splits.
I think it's cool because it's not the type of school where you really sit down and you're reading through a book and stuff like that. You get to go up there and you get to have fun. You get to practice doing stuff, and that's what's a cool school. I am actually planning on Australia. So I feel it's a really good thing to have when you're going to employers when you're traveling overseas. To have this really cool bar certificate.
I like making shots because you can throw them in a tin and a shaker and spin it around and throw it and have a really good time. And then everyone likes a quick shot, and everyone's attitude after the shot is woo. No one drinks a beer and they're like woo, and it's just a quick, exciting thing to do. And if you make it up and everyone likes it, you're like, ah, my creativity paid off, kind of thing. So my favorite shot I think I made up is Van Gogh espresso vodka and maple flavored whiskey. And I shook that on ice and I called it a Canadian coffee. Yeah, it's really tasty. Hopefully no one has trademarks on that.
Go ahead and put your feet on the rudder pedals. We steer the aircraft through the rudder pedals. They're connected directly to the nose wheel, and so you just press in the direction that you want to go. So what you can do, Brad, is just go ahead and take us over top of the yellow line. Okay, so are you all set?
All set.
Excellent. Regina Tower, Yankee Quebec Romeo, holding short of 13, ready for takeoff with a left turn to 3500.
Yankee Quebec Romeo Tower, no delay on the roll, 114014, gust 24 from Mike, clear takeoff, runway 13 left turn up.
Clear takeoff, runway 13, no delay on the roll, Yankee Quebec Romeo. All right, Brad, go ahead and put your hands and feet on the controls. No sense in me having all the fun.
Uh-huh.
And just smoothly apply power, so there's takeoff power achieved. Our airspeed's coming alive. Now we start our rotation. We just want to lift our nose wheel off a little bit and wait for the aircraft to lift off on its own.
Whoa!
And then just climb out at about 70, 75. All right?
Look, Ma, I'm flying! At this point, I'm just pretending like I know what I'm doing here.
You're doing just fine. All right, so you can start us into a gentle turn to the left if you like, Brad. Yep, just like that. That's it. And so now if you like, you can level the wings and we'll just continue to climb out on this heading. Okay?
Very cool.
You bet. Okay, so you have control.
I have control.
You have control.
I'm actually flying over the city of Regina right now.
Yes, you are. And so here's our altitude of 3,500, and so we'll just level off here. Regina Tower, Yankee Quebec Romeo, level 3,500. Why don't you try just a gentle turn to our left, Brad?
Okay. Oh, how's that?
This is great. Nice smooth control. Nice consistent bank angle. So what do you think?
Oh, this is amazing. Just amazing.
That's exactly how it should be. It's great.
There's so many factors, and you can feel it. Like you're one with the plane.
Oh, yes.
You can feel what's going on around you.
A lot of it becomes very much second nature.
Yeah. Like in the beginning, I'm focusing on the controls in front of me. not looking out into the open. Now I'm doing both.
And that's primarily what you want to do. What we want to try and do is sort of set our altitude by keeping the dashboard the same distance below the horizon. And if we do that, that should keep us at a constant altitude.
Oh, there's Mosaic Stadium.
You bet. Regina Tower, Cessna 172, Golf, Yankee, Quebec, Romeo, currently level at 3,500, approaching the eastern edge of the city and inbound for a landing. And go ahead and bank us to the left. Now power controls our altitude, so by reducing our power, we're going to start reducing our altitude. Ah, somebody's getting happier with the bank angles, I see.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, part of flight training is not only showing students what the aircraft are capable of, it's also showing students what they are capable of as well.
You want to take it from here?
So I'll take control, but again, yeah, go ahead and keep your hands and feet on the controls, Brad, so you can see what I do and what the result is. Regina Tower, Yankee, Quebec, Romeo, joining the left base for 13 full stop. So you can see the runway is dead ahead of us. There are two taxiways branching off to the left of the runway. In between those two taxiways, Brad, is the windsock. And so as we're approaching, we just want to keep an eye on the windsock because it's going to tell us what the surface winds are doing. So essentially we just fly until we get the sensation of the ground rushing up towards us. And then we flare. We bring the aircraft to a level attitude, pull the power to idle, look long, try and hold the aircraft off as absolutely long as we can. And then just try and ease it onto the runway as smoothly and as gently as possible. Not my best landing.
Oh, it was good for me.
Well, there you go.
Oh man, that was so cool. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. Find a flying school near you. I gotta ask you, you've been doing this for a while, Mike. What's the coolest thing for you as a flight instructor?
For me, the best thing is when you are talking about an exercise on the ground with a student and you can see in the student's eyes that they really don't think that they're going to be capable of that exercise. And then you go up and you talk them through the exercise and fly the exercise with them, and not only can they do it, they enjoy it.
Yeah.
So that's the magic moment for me.
Oh, and I got to say, this entire experience was magical for me too. Mike, thanks so much for taking us up to the skies.
You're very welcome, Brad. Absolutely my pleasure.
It's the only way to see the land of the living skies. And thank you for coming along on another really cool episode of Max Magazine.
If you have program ideas that you'd like to see on SaskTel Max Local On Demand, write us at max.local@sasktel.com.